Please describe your job title and primary duties.
For Hobby Lobby, I worked at the cutting counter, which meant that when customers were finished with deciding on which fabrics they wanted, they'd bring them up to me and I was in charge of helping them decide how much yardage they need and cutting the fabric so that they could take that one piece up to the counter to purchase it.
What was the work environment like?
That work environment was really nice. It's a little bit slow there, so it can be like a little stifling sometimes when you only get a couple customers an hour, but that's also kind of a nice thing that you're not being overwhelmed all of the time. Everyone there was really friendly and nice. It's relaxed. They do have a very specific way they want you to say things, like, please say this when you are checking somebody out. Please ask them about what they're doing, and that's very important to them, is to have this very specific question, answer, response when you are helping a customer, because they just want everything for the customer. They want it to be a good experience, and they want the cutting counter representative to show that the Hobby Lobby is a good company and that they are really just helping you out.
Please describe a typical day as an employee.
Well, I would, show up. I'd put all of my stuff in a back office, which they would lock, so all my belongings were safe. I'd put on my apron and grab scissors, and they actually didn't, when I worked there, they didn't use the handheld device. It was all done on a computer, and so you would sign into the computer and pull out, get your scissors ready, measuring tapes, any sort of people were always asking, could you measure my arm or my leg? Because it's really hard to do that yourself. And people would just bring up their fabrics, ask you to cut them. Sometimes they'd ask for advice, like, oh, do you think I need cotton or flannel for this project? Or do you have a good recommendation for a pattern for a backpack? Things like that. Or they might say, I really need some blue silk. Can you help me find the blue silk? And so that was pretty much, and then at the end of the day, you'd put everything back and you'd go home.
How would you describe the application and interview process?
I did have a bit of a trouble with getting an interview with them. I turned my application in and I had to be pretty persistent with getting the interview. I think I called a couple of times saying, I really want to work here. Can you please give me an interview? And they said, our manager is out. We'll call back later. So I definitely recommend for someone who wants to work there to really go for it, because they, just because of how the company is, they won't go for you. And it's nothing personal. It's just that they would rather, if someone comes to them and is really forceful about getting an interview, then they're more likely for that person to get a job. Whereas if, you just turn in an application and wait, it probably will just get lost under stacks of other applications. Whereas if you're calling and you're going into that store, my interview was actually, I walked in one day and I was just already there because I was buying other supplies, and I was dressed nicely and I said, I turned in an application 2 weeks ago. I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody. Could I talk to someone about getting an interview? And they said, well, our manager is here. If he wants to talk to you in the back room for a couple of minutes, we'll see if he's busy. And he wasn't busy. And so it wasn't formally scheduled. It was just kind of spur of the moment. I was there, I was ready, they interviewed me.
What questions did the interviewer ask during the job interview?
They asked, what your job experience was. They asked, about craft experience, if you were able to give advice or opinions to people looking for that. They also asked about your loyalty to a company. They really like people that are looking, for a long-term job. They don't want because there's so much training that goes into this job with the cutting and how to use the machines and things. They don't want someone who, except for their seasonal employees, who's going to leave in a couple months. They're looking for someone who is going to be there long term. So that's someone they'll ask, what do you plan for the next 2 years of your life? Will you be able to commit to this job? And the people that can commit, they really appreciate.
What other advice would you give to a job seeker looking to get employment?
My main advice would be to just be persistent and to, I don't want to say get in their faces, but to definitely go in there and make your face known. And, maybe even if you can't get an interview right away, go and shop in the store. Even if you return the items, just by seeing your face, and they'll say, oh, we see this person here a lot. Obviously they are crafted and they're interested in what we're doing. So maybe, by hiring them, it'll be good for us because, they know about the store. And if you can tell them layouts of the store, because it's so large and there's such a variety of things, that's definitely if okay, I know that, the fabric is in the left corner and the canvases are in the right corner. That's definitely a good sign that you know the store and that you know the company that you're about to work for.